Serving it up to you live on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. I'm Bruce Nolan. That's Nate Geary, and this is Food for Thought, a show combining two of your three favorite F words. That's right, food and football. You know, the third one is fighting. For me, anyway. I made a comment to my wife earlier this weekend that for the first time in a while, we will be able to have three of my four favorite Fs going on in the living room at the same time on Saturday. Fighting, football, and food. The fourth one is fluffies because we have a new dog. Get your mind out of the gutter. You know, it's funny. This show is really brought to you by pizza and beer. It is. It's brought to you by pizza and beer. See, the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network is presented by Picasso's Pizza. Treat yourself to the most flavorful pizza on game day. Picasso's We Are Buffalo Pizza. Shipped locally and nationwide at picassospizza.net. And then this show itself is not brought to you by that. This show itself is brought to you by Genesee Brewing Company. Since 1878, Genesee has poured generations of brewing knowledge in each pint, can, and bottle of their beer. They make no sacrifices when it comes to their beer, brewing each with the highest quality ingredients for a consistently great drinking experience. Look for Genesee Beer, Genesee Light, Cream Ale, and their specialty line with beers like Pineapple Kolsch and Oktoberfest. Genesee Brewery, Rochester, New York. Yes, that's right. Friday nights are brought to you by pizza and beer here on Food for Thought. Pizza and beer. Nate, cutting it a little bit close.
I would say so. Yeah. You know, it's classic. Whenever I need to be on here in a hurry, I always have some kind of headphone issue where I'm not getting return feed. So you know what I did? I just yanked the headphones out. Hopefully I sound okay.
You sound all right. It's a little bit distant, but it's good enough that I can fix it in post-processing because I am an audio magician.
That is true.
When I started to do this podcast, I think I realized that I missed my calling in life because I should have been an audio engineer because I pull it up and I'm manipulating the little sound waves and I'm like, this is the way I was meant to live right here. This is what was meant to happen. Nate, we have an unbelievably stacked agenda tonight. We've got to move. We've got mailbags.
Yes.
We've got a ton of stuff. We got all the stuff we got to get into. As a reminder, any super chat greater than $10 gets his Genesee Pine Glass. Follow at Genesee Brewery on Twitter and DM at Nate Geary Sports proof of the super chat and the Genesee follow with your address, and he'll get you that. Nate, we got 2 tickets. If you are listening to this on Friday live, we got 2 tickets to tomorrow's game. We're going to be giving them away.
Yep.
Literally, all you got to do is comment in the comment section. That's it.
Easy as that, man.
Just comment in the comment section, and we will throw the names into a randomizer, and it will pick a name. And that's it. So just make sure you're commenting in the comment section, and we will get you a thing, set of tickets. Just say the word tickets. That's all you got to do. Just say the word tickets. That way I know that you're interested, and we'll get you an email with those tickets. So Liam already beat me to the Biggest Loser. Just get out of the way. Biggest Loser is Zach Wilson for throwing a bad interception and potentially sustaining a serious injury in the preseason. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. He's going to be my biggest loser. So we just go ahead and just spoil that.
We could spoil that. But can we just acknowledge something that was once considered Billsy is now kind of considered Jetsy?
Yeah, Jets gonna Jets, man.
Jets gonna Jets.
You know, and one of my favorite shows is How I Met Your Mother, and in that show they have a person called the Blitz, and the Blitz is just known as having just horribly bad luck. And the idea being that every time the Blitz leaves the room, something awesome will happen to the people who are in the room, and he will get to miss it. That's his jinx. And this show's episode is about the Blitz curse being pushed onto someone else. You can actually see the spirit form of the curse leave the Blitz's body and go, like that, and then enter the other person's soul. That's the way it is with the Bills. What happened was they drafted Josh Allen, and that night when the Jets drafted Sam Darnold, it went like that. And the spirit just kind of exited the Bills and went into the New York Jets. So we're going to start off right now with the hors d'oeuvres for this evening. We're going to get started with foods where the first bite is the best. Why? Because we're about to get our first bite of actual Bills football. If you're listening to this Friday night, if you're listening to this Saturday morning, first bite of Bills football. Nate?
So before we move on, we had a very generous donation as I walked in here from Jeremy. And I want to ensure that Jeremy sends me some information from him so I can send him not just a glass or two, but a nice little Genesee Brewing Company gift back, like a basket of sorts. So Jeremy, if you don't follow me on Twitter, please do, and then shoot me a DM with your address and your shipping information, your all that good stuff, and I will get a special care package out to you. Can't thank you enough for all the appreciation. I very much appreciate it.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to foods where the first bite is the best, and for me, the first bite of pizza is the best. And here's why. The triangle shape of pizza makes it fit perfectly in your mouth for the first bite. There isn't a food that is shaped better for the first bite than pizza. It is designed to angle toward your mouth. So I don't really think that you can really come up with a food, especially if you get a nice little fold, Cheesecake, Andy Anderson says cheesecake as well. Cheesecake, also triangle, right? But, you cut it with a fork. So the fact that it's triangle doesn't really matter because you can cut it into whatever shape you'd like. So I think that for me, pizza is the way. And whether you fold it, whether you flatten it, I just think it's perfectly designed for shoving in your mouth. And the rest of the time, you're trying to recreate that perfect first bite. Because, it always gets weird shapes and you're twisting your mouth and you're trying to fold it and all this stuff like that. But the first bite of a piece of pizza is unquestionably the best bite. Andy says, my wife says tacos. Tacos is a good answer. Tacos is a very, very, very good answer. Karen's with me. Karen is with me in the comment section for pizza. All the way in on pizza. Huge, huge fan of that one. Now, Castellan says, what if you're eating square pizza, like a sheet pizza?
This is valid.
Absolutely true. I would argue that you can still fold those pieces. And then when you fold them, you end up with a triangle shape in the corner of one of the pieces.
Eventually, you get to triangle, is what you're saying.
Triangle can always be the first bite, I think. So, Nate, foods where the first bite is the best.
So I'm going to go in a route very different from yours, and not because of the shape or the ease of, it gets harder to eat or less enjoyable to eat as it goes. I'm going to go with an interesting food item here. One of my favorite, just snack items, which is ginger cookies. And I'm going with ginger cookie because the ginger cookie's best bite is the first bite. And this is not a knock on ginger cookies because I eat them even though I don't enjoy the second, third, fourth, fifth cookie that I do the first bite of the first cookie. But I like, they're very good. But there's a level of I want to be careful of saying spiciness, but there is that inherent ginger spice that goes along. But that first bite, you don't get any spice flavor. You only get that true delicious caramelly type ginger. And then the rest of it, you actually get the ginger root where you don't really get that initial. It's kind of like molassesy almost, like that cinnamony. That first taste is very dessert-like. And then the rest of it is almost savory. So it's hard to beat the first bite of a gingerbread, whatever kind of ginger cookie you're eating. The first bite is always the best. And it kind of just decreases in overall enjoyment after that. So this is coming from someone who eats ginger cookies pretty regularly. They get the little ginger snaps at Trader Joe's with a little bit of the Biscoff cookie. You know what I'm talking about, Bruce, right? The cookie.
Yes. I do.
Cookie dip. Nah,
Yep.
that's the wrong way of putting it. It's cookie spread. Maybe it's
Yeah.
it's. I like
Cookie
to dip my
butter,
ginger cookie.
almost.
Yes, cookie butter. Yes, that's it, Bruce. I should have known that you would have had that in your back pocket. You seem like a cookie butter guy.
I've actually only had cookie butter one time.
It's Biscoff is my favorite. Like anything cinnamon sugar. That's why I like the ginger cookie so much. But I do have a limit to how many I can eat. Where like if I had like cinnamon sugar graham crackers, I could eat them until the box was gone. But with gingerbread, there is a pretty stern limit on how many I'll be able to eat.
I like the fact that you went there. I went with shape. You went with like spicy flavor.
Yeah.
I got that. I was nervous that you might, after I hit something as out of the park as pizza, that you might be left just with nothing.
Bruce,
but you took it in a completely different way.
We are veterans of this podcast now. We're a full year in. There's nothing you could do that's going to sort of shake my foundation.
On a Friday night, we're at our best.
That's right.
True.
That's right.
Moving along, speaking of getting nervous, how's that for a transition? I have a question for you.
Please.
Do you get nerves for the first preseason game?
No.
You don't get nerves. You don't get that weird butterfly feeling.
That usually happens week 1 of the regular season. Preseason, and I was filling in this afternoon. If you're listening afterwards, this is Friday. So I was on Friday afternoon filling in for Shope. And we were talking about just like the first preseason game and kind of like what do Bills fans do with preseason now? There are no real battles. There's, maybe 3 or 4 battles and they're all at the bottom of the roster, short of punter, right? So this isn't like, hey, is Robert Foster going to be a number 1 wide receiver? This isn't, hey, is Tyrod Taylor going to beat out Matt Castle? This is, is Josh Thomas going to beat out Jaquan Johnson? This is Christian Benford going to beat out Cam Lewis? Is Matt Ariza going to beat out Matt Hawk? So there isn't that sort of draw to this that there was when the Bills were bad, because frankly, a lot of people put stock in August football because they didn't really have meaningful December football. They certainly didn't have January football, Bruce. So now that we get meaningful December, January, hopefully February football, it's hard for me to get up for these games. Like I got my cousin's wedding tomorrow, so I'll be missing the broadcast like Joe and I normally do. We've got our fill-ins this week. So it's a little weird for me that A, I feel no emotion, but B, I really would be fine if the league decided to abolish preseason altogether. I want to see 0 plays from Josh Allen, Bruce. 0 plays. I don't need to see it. I don't need to see Von Miller. I don't need to see Deion Dawkins. I don't need to see Roger Saffold as much as I'd like to see what he looks like in this. I don't need to see Ed Oliver. I don't need to see the linebackers. Who do I want to see, Bruce? I want to see them get through a game without even a nick, a bruise, a scrape. I want nothing. And like, to me, that's, if there's nerves, it goes along with, this has been one of the consistently healthiest teams in football. I don't want any of that to change. That if there's nerves about one thing, it's injuries, which I think is probably a lot of people's sentiment at this point.
That's exactly where I'm at. I still get nervous about preseason, but not because it matters. It's because the only possible takeaways are bad. That's why. The only big news that can come out of a preseason game is bad. There is no big news that can come out of a preseason game that's good. None at all. Oh, well, Nate Peterman had one of the greatest preseasons in the history of football.
Back, Jack.
It doesn't matter. So looking good is fine. It's whatever. I just go, hey, cool, he looked good. Yeah. But the only real big news is bad. And it's injuries. It's Zach Wilson getting hurt. That's what it is. It's Drake London going down with a knee injury. That is what is coming out of preseason. It's not anything monumental. When you're part of a fantasy league and you put waiver wire people in for preseason, it's not because someone blew up. It's because someone got hurt. That's why. So for me, I still get nervous, but I don't get nervous for that reason.
No.
But plenty of people still overreact to preseason. It's part of the thing. I mean, people are going to overreact to preseason. It's just the way it is. Someone's going to have
the way it is.
Yeah, it's just the way. Malik Willis had the first tweet right after the game last night. Should Malik Willis start for the Should Malik Willis start for the Titans? No, Malik Willis should not start for the Titans, right?
No.
He clearly needed a lot of work. But what happens is we throw out every bit of what we thought about a player going into the draft based on 12 passes in the first preseason game. Oh, well, man, he's going to need to sit for at least a year. We need to work on him. Oh, my gosh, he threw 12 passes. Somebody put him in right now. That's exactly what happened. And so for me, when I look at preseason overreactions, it makes me feel like I'm on a diet and I'm not losing weight. Here's why. I don't know if you've ever been on a diet, Nate.
I have been.
It's not working. And you go, hey, this isn't working. It's not working. It's not what I wanted to do. And you start throwing your hands up in the air and go, it doesn't matter what I do. It's not working. And you get frustrated. Every time I see a tweet about Christian Wade, I die a little inside. Now, thankfully, he's not around anymore for me to have listened to it. But I had to watch Christian Wade tweets, real Christian Wade tweets, over 4 touches.
Yeah.
I had to devote entire segments of the podcast over 4 touches, Nate. And that's what it makes me feel. It makes me feel like I am taking crazy pills. It makes me feel like nothing I do matters and that I'm not really making a difference in the world. Sometimes when you see all of the devastation and violence and hate in this world, you think to yourself, can one person really make a difference? Does it even matter? Do I just hang up my shoes and just go home, right? Is that the way it works? That's the way I feel when I see preseason overreactions. I go, am I really making a dent in anything? Are enough people listening to my podcast to make a difference, right? I feel like Mugatu from Zoolander. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Like, that's the way I feel.
It reminds me a little bit of like the George Costanza and Shrinkage, where he's like, the pool was cold!
It was cold in the pool! Women know about shrinkage, right?
Yeah, they do.
Well, I don't know if they do, George. Anyway. Oh, preseason overreactions make me feel like I'm on a diet, and it doesn't work. Nate, how do preseason reactions make you feel?
So, in a similar vein, it makes me feel like we never learn our lesson, right? Like, we've been here before. We've gone to this place, Bruce. We know better. It's like going back to eat this food that you keep trying to prop up. For me, it's avocado. I like guacamole. Avocado, the fatty oils do not sit well in my stomach. They give me a stomach ache. Same with my girlfriend. It's funny. We both have like the same issue with avocados. We enjoy them, but they upset my stomach. Every time I eat avocado, I have an upset stomach. And yet, Bruce, sometimes it's like, ooh, that guacamole looks damn good. It's got like, it's real chunky, real green. And you're just like, oh, those chips look great. I'll have one. You have one. There's no eating one chip with guacamole, Bruce. There's no such thing. You go back for 3s, 4s, 5s. And by the time you know it, you've eaten 10 chips with guacamole. And I'm back home sitting on my couch like, oh, why does my stomach hurt so bad? It's like I never learn. And just like people, when they have takes about preseason games, they say Joe Flacco's elite. They say Christian Wade should play football. They should bring him. He should be on the active roster. That Nate Peterman should be the starter. It's like we never learn, Bruce. We just, there's something magical and something captivating about preseason football. And I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't know what it is. It's a bad product. It's future insurance salesmen. And for the most part, people in the stands aren't even watching the game. Yet, here we are on a Friday night, tuning into Food for Thought. And what do you got in the background playing? You got preseason football that doesn't matter for some team you don't care about. And that is the beauty of preseason. It's the beauty of the NFL, Bruce. The NFL has captivated the minds of everyone, even when games don't matter, Bruce. The NFL draft has turned into a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week news cycle. It doesn't matter because the second the draft's over, you see the next year's draft, mock draft. Draft Network is around now. Now we can learn about draft prospects any time of the year. And the one thing that was always at least sacrilegious is everybody could agree that preseason was terrible. The league, Bruce, agrees preseason's terrible. They've reduced it. They've gotten rid of a game. And yet here we are talking about preseason like we didn't learn. Avocado, people.
I have a question for you about avocado.
Sure.
Do you cook with avocado oil?
We do when we want something that is really hot, right? So I tend to find like avocado, but it cooks off, Bruce, and I don't tend to have that same bellyache that I do when I'm just eating standard avocado. But like a perfect example of when I would use avocado oil, searing steak in a cast iron, because it's got that higher flash point.
Well, that's exactly what I was just thinking, because I use avocado oil to sear in the cast iron.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, I wonder if that would affect your stomach in a negative way.
We've tested it, and it does not. It must just because it cooks off or whatever it is. I just think it's the act of having the actual avocado in there, and that's just the way she goes sometimes.
Okay.
It's unfortunate because, again, it's something I enjoy thoroughly, to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
Avocado toast? Delicious. Little smoked paprika.
We're actually going to go over avocado later. As a spoiler, we're going to do it.
I didn't know that, and now it was actually on the docket to talk about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about
this is like
avocado.
The Frankenfurters episode.
It is like the Frankenfurters episode. Speaking of which, we literally just got a tweet to us. Nate, hey, food Twitter, settle a bet. This is from @PFT commenter, the guy from Pardon My Take. And Matt Hill @mhill167 on Twitter said, hey guys, look at this. If you were to select the state that makes the best mac and cheese in the entire country, which would you pick? The 4 options he gave for the poll are Georgia, Mississippi, Kentucky, and New York City. And he has New York City as a state, which is upsetting. Funny. But who has the best mac and cheese? I have a take on this.
Okay, what is it?
I have had mac and cheese in multiple different states. Kentucky is the answer.
Really?
Kentucky is the answer.
It's polling the lowest.
And I am going to, it is polling the lowest. And I am going to, right now, transition into a email that we got specifically about this. And that is that we got one from Jeremy. And Jeremy said to us a while back, have you or Nate ever had a particular dish in an establishment, city, or other location where you didn't expect it to be awesome, but it was? For instance, if someone ever said the best barbecue they ever had was in Kansas City, well, obviously that makes sense. But if they did say the best barbecue they ever had was in Provo, Utah, that would be surprising. I personally have 2 examples, Jeremy says. Number 1, I enjoy shrimp and grits and had it multiple times in southeastern United States. But it was the best in Harlem. The Red Rooster in Harlem last summer. I had it with a side of cornbread, and it was amazing. 2, I really like Cajun food and crawfish etouffee. I've had a dish multiple times in the southeast, including New Orleans. But the best crawfish etouffee I ever had was in Spokane, Washington. I ate there 5 or 6 times before moving. I ordered the same dish every time because it was so good. I missed that place. How about you, Nate and Bruce? He also says the Reuben at Izzy's in Cincinnati is also surprisingly good. Okay, so back to Kentucky. Those of you who have been listening to the show or listening to me for any meaningful amount of time, the answer of where I've had the best food is Louisville, Kentucky. Really? Louisville, Kentucky is either the southernmost northern city or the northernmost southern city, depending on who you ask. And because of it, they have a very strange, eclectic food scene in Louisville, Kentucky. The best Cajun I've ever had was in Louisville, Kentucky. And I did not. Now, it makes sense because if you get New Orleans and you go up the river, you end up in Louisville. That's where you end up.
Okay.
Those 2 cities are connected by the Mississippi River. So it makes sense. But you're so far north at that point, you just don't assume that it would be the case.
Right.
And it is. It is the case. The best Cajun I've ever had was not in New Orleans. And I've had it in New Orleans. And it was awesome. But shockingly enough, it was a little hole in the wall place called Joe's OK Bayou in Louisville, Kentucky.
It's a good name.
It was so amazing. I don't even know if it's still open. I haven't been back in years and years and years. I'm going to look it up right now while you tell us. Do you have something like this?
So I'll say, well, to answer the original question, which was best mac and cheese, I put Mississippi. The reason I've never had mac and cheese in Mississippi, but I tend to think people in the South, the further south you go, there is a particular point and cutoff at Florida. Florida is a melting pot of transplants from other states. When I talk about food, Bruce, I try to exclude Florida because unless we're talking Cuban and we're talking like plantains or we're talking like guava and cheese, I try to leave Florida out. And it's not because I have this disdain for Florida. I just think that it's such a melting pot of cultures that and transplants from other places in the country that it's hard for me to find like what's the one thing that is very uniquely Florida. There's like legitimate buffalo chicken wings in Florida because people from Buffalo moved to Florida, right? So for me, I keep Florida out of this. And I've never had mac and cheese in Georgia to know whether it's good. But I'm going to assume because of that Mississippi Bayou type that they're probably making the best mac and cheese, the best barbecue. But to your point, Kentucky, Louisville, but more importantly, like Louisville bourbon and bourbon with barbecue, barbecue, mac and cheese. I'm going to make that straight line connection that they're probably doing it pretty well there in Kentucky. I'm going to say something that, listen, this is not to say I've never had a good meal in New York City. It's not true. I've had great meals in New York City. I have some of the best aged beef that I've ever had in New York City at Gallagher Steakhouse. Go. One of the best places that I continue to go back to eat food from, Bruce, Toronto, Ontario.
Oh, yeah.
I know for the same reasons that I disqualified Florida, maybe you can disqualify Toronto because it is such a cultural melting pot of places. But breakfast, I mean, you have some of the there's this place called Fua Fua. If next time you're in Toronto, their pancakes are that thick and they're like the fluffiest pancakes you've ever had. They're this thick, Bruce. I've never seen a bigger pancake, and they don't make them in like a pan or something. They are made on a flat top, but the consistency is so bubbly, like it's almost like fluff, and it sits in its own self. It does not spread when you put it on the flat top, and then you flip it, and then the middle cooks. I don't know. I don't understand the science behind it. One of the best pancakes I've ever had. Super tasty. There's also a restaurant, a breakfast place in Toronto called School, Skool. One of my all-time. Every time I go there, I get breakfast there. They have a jalapeno, sour cream jalapeno breakfast hash that's just absolutely the sour cream just makes it just taste so damn fresh. And they have this apple fritter or apple crisp pancakes. Unbelievable, Bruce. But every time I go to Toronto, I have a fantastic meal. However, it's hard for me to say, and you know what? This brings me to a quick story that I have to tell about Denver, because when I was in Denver last year for the 4th of July, I wanted to know what is uniquely Denver, right? Buffalo has wings, Texas has barbecue, whatever. What do you think the answer was, Bruce? When I said, what is uniquely Denver? When I'm in Denver, I got to have blank. What do you think the people of Denver, Colorado said that was?
Bison.
No, but it's not far off. It's actually, it comes from the bison.
Wait, what? Where are we going with this?
Rocky Mountain oysters. Have you ever heard of them?
I've heard of them. I've never had them.
Do you know what they are?
It's specifically like a small little pearl of meat, right? No? Okay, go ahead.
Testicle. It's bull testicle.
Oh, it's a bull testicle.
When you said that.
How about that?
Oh, it's a bull testicle.
Have you had a bull testicle?
No. But let me.
Am I going to have to flag this for not being safe for children because I said the word testicle?
Close.
I think I'm going to.
It's close, but it's just a weird. So Rocky Mountain oysters or mountain oysters are meatballs, also known as prairie oysters in Canada, is a dish of bull testicle. The organs are often deep fried after being skinned, coated in flour, peppered and salted, and sometimes pounded flat. The delicacy is most often served as an appetizer. So the thing that bothers me, Bruce, about this is don't have your delicacy be the last thing short of a brain that I want to eat of a bull.
Sure.
Let's be honest, right? And frankly, Bruce, we don't tend to eat bull, right? Like we eat the female cow.
Correct.
So you're giving me a piece of meat that I'm not normally used to the flavor profile of a male cow, first and foremost. Secondly, again, short of the hoof, I'm not sure that I want to eat bull testicle. So I'm like a big full timeout. I was like, you guys don't have like chicken wings or like steak? No, it's bull testicle deep fried. Here's my other problem with it. Why are you calling it an oyster? It's not served in a shell. It's bad, Bruce. It was bad. It was a bad experience. And I thought to myself, Denver, Colorado is a unbelievable place. It's a very cool place to go. This is your man's? Like this is what you got to offer an out-of-towner? And that's they were like excited. Oh, you got to go to the blankety blank down on Route 54 because they got the best Rocky Mountain oysters in town. And me and my girlfriend like, oh, we could go for some oysters right now. I would absolutely. We get there and we look at the description, and I was like, honey, we are not getting the oysters. We are not getting the oysters.
You felt tricked, bamboozled.
I felt bamboozled. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody put one over on me.
Nate, I need to take a moment of silence.
I agreed. So, Bruce, next time you find yourself in the Midwest, please avoid them at all costs.
Well, that's not the reason why. I just looked up Joe's OK by You, and they closed in 2016. My hole-in-the-wall Cajun place I love so much in Louisville is not around anymore.
Here, Bruce, I got some paper towels here really quick.
My alligator po' boys, not a thing anymore.
Hold on. Here you go, Bruce. Here's what I'm going to do.
I feel like I need a minute.
Here's what I'm going to do for you, buddy.
I feel like this is going to be really, thank you.
Pour one out.
Thank you. I appreciate that. One for my homies. One for my Jomies. One for my Jomies.
Oh, Lordy.
Oh, that's a problem.
That's a tough break. That's a tough break. You found out that Rocky Mountain oysters are bull testicles right before you found out your favorite Cajun restaurant's closed. It has been closed for 5 years, by the way.
6. Closed in 2016. Yeah. Well, we haven't been back in years and years and years. I lived in Louisville a long time ago. So, okay, we're going to move along, and I'm going to try and just kind of make it through. Sweetosaurus says, good afternoon, Bruce. I think I've listened to every Food for Thought episode, and I was wondering if you guys have discussed who has the best French fries out of all the food chains. This might be a hot take, but I think Burger King can be on top of the list because it isn't thin like McDonald's and it doesn't get as soggy like Wendy's. Thanks for making my shifts go by faster. Go Bills. Now,
he said Burger King, and it wasn't you that said Burger King.
He said
right?
Burger King. Okay.
Oh, Lordy.
Very important. Fast food, by definition, has a drive-through. Okay. This is the way we're using it. So fast casual, Five Guys does not count.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm
going Chick-fil-A. Waffle fry, larger surface area, which means the amount of variance that you can get doesn't matter as much. There's a larger margin for error for cooking because it can be crispy, right? Or it can even actually be afforded to be less crispy because you have a bigger surface area to accommodate for that texture differential. There's certain fries that if they're not crispy, you're toast. You're absolutely. Wendy's fries are terrible. I've had them a bunch of times. They're terrible. I actively go out of my way to avoid Wendy's fries. I'll get a sandwich.
I don't like Wendy's, period.
And chili. I'll get a sandwich and nuggets. I'll get a sandwich and something else. But I cannot get on board with Wendy's. Now, Liam is the other side of the coin. Arby's curly fries. I will say this. Arby's crinkle fries are legit. I have had them. People pass up on them because the curly fries are famous, but the crinkle fries are solid. But for me, I'm a waffle fry guy all the way through. Love me a waffle fry. So for me, it's Chick-fil-A. Nate?
It's a good choice. It's a good choice. I'm going to disqualify the choice that I would have picked, which is Arby's standard curly fries, because they're not in the same category as
Apples and oranges.
Correct. So I'm going to disqualify where I would go with this. However, I completely and wholeheartedly agree with you about Wendy's. Something happened in the last 5 years to Wendy's, because I used to believe Wendy's was the best of the best at everything. Fries, burgers, the Frosty is elite. Something has happened. Now, to the email's point, Burger King, their old fries might have been some of my favorites. Their new fries, too much potato. It's too big. It's not crispy enough. It ends up being just almost soft. I do not like the texture of Burger King fries. In fact, anytime I go to Burger King, on God, you can ask my girlfriend, I only get onion rings. A, because they're the only fast food chain you can get onion rings at. I know you can get them at Arby's, but I'm not my favorite fry is the Arby curly fries. So I'm not going to just skip out on Arby's curly fries to go with their onion rings. BK's got a good onion ring. It's a good, solid onion ring. But fries, Bruce, it's a real toss-up for me. Because
go ahead. They did a marketing campaign a while back, years and years ago, where they said they had America's favorite fries. Burger King.
Burger King. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. America's favorite fries. And I really wondered for a long time, as a guy who is someone who cares about nuance and cares about the specifics of wording, I wonder if they found a person named America and got them to sign an endorsement deal that said that they were their favorite fries so that they could say America's favorite fries. Because that's something that I would do if I was a marketing company. And I think it'd be a stroke of genius. Tell me what you think, Nate. Did I just blow your mind?
I may never be the same. Yeah, if that's what you're asking. I know people aren't going to like this, but when they're right, Bruce, there is nothing more addicting than a McDonald's fry. When they are fresh, they're
very good when they're fresh.
When they're fresh and freshly salted, when you get a medium, Bruce, I could live with just having a medium fry, a large fry, and that'd be my dinner. In fact, talking about this, I might do that after my girlfriend's working tonight. She's usually not working Friday nights. I'm kind of on my own for dinner. I might go to McDonald's, get a large fry. The problem is, Bruce, like 6 out of 10 end up being pretty disappointing.
Yeah, you just gotta hope that it's good. You almost want to pull up the drive-through.
It hits.
You almost want to pull up the drive-through and say, "Hey, how fresh are your fries right now?" Before I order them.
Never want to be that guy, Bruce. Like,
right?
I'm with you.
I've never said that. But I always kind of want to, and I wonder if there's a way I can word it to pull it off.
And there's never a easy way to ask a person, "Did you do your job well today, or are you a lazy bleep?" That's what I want to ask, right?
I think the key is to ask in passive voice.
Okay.
Don't it's a little bit like, did you salt the fries? No. Are the fries salted? If you use passive voice, it could help. You know what I mean? So I don't want to ask like, "Hey, did you make the fries fresh recently?" I'll say, "Hey, just out of curiosity, how fresh are the fries right now? Like, what do you think? Do I want them or not?" Like, and if you like play it cool, play it casual, I'll bet you they'll respond to you.
So, Bruce, let me ask you this, because you're not a Buffalonian. You don't live here. And I think you can help me in this, which is, I am in Buffalo, all of us here in Buffalo, we are sort of pigeonholed in the fast food that we have. We have the big three, right? McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's. We have no Jack in the Box. We have no Carl's Jr. Help me out. There's a couple more that I'm missing here.
Do you have a Hardee's?
No, we don't have a Hardee's.
No Hardee's. Culver's?
no Culver's.
No, that's tough.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So like,
It's you guys have it tough. I'm not gonna lie.
I know. We just have the basic.
You guys have a
ones. Like,
Rallies or a Checkers?
We got a Chick-fil-A 3 years ago, and it was like breaking news. We just got a second one, breaking news. But like, we really could use a Culver's. We really could. What's the other? Oh, Zaxby's. I need a Zaxby's.
Zaxby's, Raising Cane's.
Yes, we need those.
Oh,
here.
Raising
I
Cane's.
don't get why, Bruce. Pizza Huts are coming back to Buffalo, which is absurd to me. But like, they give us crappy pizza here, even though this is a very good pizza town. They give us the Domino's that I don't know that there is a Papa John's. We get Pizza Hut, but the diversity of which we have fast food is incredibly disappointing here in Buffalo.
Karen coming in hot. Sonic tater tots with chili.
Ooh.
Yes, Karen. Yes, if I was allowed to use that. So I haven't been to a Sonic in a long time. There was a Sonic that was close enough for us to go to, and our experience was absolutely terrible. We haven't been there, but I lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was introduced to Sonic in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved Sonic. To this day, I love drive-ins because there's nothing I love more than eating food and not dealing with people. So for me, all the way in on drive-ins, 100%. My wife and I went to a local drive-in last weekend. It was perfectly fine. It wasn't Sonic, but it was fine. Richard Rush with the absolute galaxy brain take on Food for Thought on Friday night says, order your fries unsalted, then you'll get them fresh, and then you can salt them yourself. Nate, you're wagging your finger. Why are you wagging your finger?
I get the concept, and I like the idea, but here's why it's flawed. They need to be salted when they still have the oil on the outside. When they are fresh out, the oil allows the salt to stick to it. Otherwise, you get them unsalted, you throw them in the thing. Yes, they're fresh, but by the time you get them home to salt it, maybe you ask for salt in the drive-thru, right?
Or you just keep the salt with you and just sprinkle it on right there.
Are we psychos? Are we?
Yes, we are.
Are we?
We do a show on Friday night called Food for Thought, where we attempt to blend football and food together. Yes, we are psychos.
That's a good point. I guess I hadn't really considered that.
100% we're psychos. All right, moving along.
All right, yeah, that's fair.
Nathan Lewinsky doesn't have a question, but he wants to add something to our repertoire. We did buy and sell, you and I, when it came to preseason hype. Yep. He says you should add trade. So buying and selling is great. So buying, you see it happening and you like it. Sell it, you don't see it happening. Trade is you see it happening, but you wish it didn't.
Okay.
So it's almost a way to separate out predictive stuff from preferred stuff.
Okay.
Within that own thing. So for example, one of the things we talked about was James Cook being RB1 for this team, right? Buying or selling. I said selling, you said buying, right? If it was something where you saw it could potentially happen, but would prefer that it didn't, you would say trade. At that point, I would trade that. I trade it for something else. I think it's going to happen, but I don't want it. So that's something we can add to our repertoire.
I like that.
Moving forward. I kind of like it. Andy says, be right back. I'm grabbing my salt shaker and going through a drive-through. Darn straight. Let's go.
I really think Nathan must know something about how much you and I love trading.
I think he does.
We love
trading.
We love trading.
We're trading.
I trade.
You might need to trade some more because Eli Mitchell has a bad hamstring injury. And then you know how those things can linger.
All right, I got Samaje Perine.
Yeah, you got Samaje Perine, who now is not even the backup in Cincinnati. Good. He's the third stringer.
Good.
So
good.
Yeah.
He's not, by the way. He's injured. He's still listed as the number 2.
It's gonna be Evans.
You and Evans. You keep trying to convince me, and you know what? I'm not listening to you. Bro.
I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't even have Chris Evans. I'm just telling you,
Bruce
it's gonna be Chris Evans.
Guys. Everybody, Bruce is the biggest. Bruce, outside of my beautiful and wonderful girlfriend, Bruce is the second sweetest person in my life. He is the most well-meaning person that I know. And he likes to unsolicited text me bad news, but sometimes good news about my fantasy people with no context. We haven't spoken all day. It'll be 6 p.m. I'm headed home from the office. I'm going home. And I just get a a tweet that's texted to me. I'm like, oh, what's this tweet that Bruce is texting me? And it's Elijah Mitchell, hamstring, going to be out the entire preseason. I'm like, son of a bleep, Bruce. Come on.
I just like making sure people are aware of things. Remember what Dell? So I'm in the playoff, not the championship because I played you in the championship, but the division.
Passive aggressive sweetheart, you
against Dell. Okay. And right before the 4:00 games, one of his starters, James Conner, gets pulled out. And so I quick send him the tweet and I go, dude, James Conner's out. And he sends me a message back and says, I don't know if you're taunting me or if you're just trying to be a good person. I said, no. I don't want to beat you because you were busy and you missed the text. I want to beat you because my team is better than yours. One of the great Bruceisms is I want to win because I'm good, not because you suck.
Right.
So for me, absolutely well-meaning. I am here for it. I am all the way here for it. Like, and I don't just do it to you. I do it to Joe Marino. I do it to Greg Thompson too. I'm like, hey guys, you want to make sure I don't know if you caught this or not. One of your players is injured. I was like, Bruce, what are you doing? I spent 2 hours on the couch in my hotel room instead of the beach on vacation 2 years ago because I was trying to help Nate find a free agent running back because he had an injury.
An absolute sweetheart. Absolute sweetheart.
People don't know that about me. Everyone assumes that this grumpy cantankerous old guy, and I am those things. But deep down,
correct.
I'm actually a really nice guy. So Andy Ladowski says, Bruce, Nate, do you remember when he sent us condiments and said you had to pick what position they would be if they were positions on a football team?
Yes,
do you remember this?
Yes.
We got 2 more. I'm going to read them to you, and then I'm going to go first so you have time to kind of think through them, okay? Salsa and guac.
Okay.
So I have answers. Salsa is a guard. It's a foundationally safe and underappreciated condiment.
It's not because it's thick.
Okay, you know what? I was going there. I also prefer them thick, which is there. I also prefer them a little spicy, right? A little violent. That's the way I prefer my salsa. So it's a foundational piece. It's also something that if you have it, the second you open it, or if you have it 7 hours later after it's been sitting on the counter, it's still good. It's still good. Just like a guard. Rookie guard can be good. Guard's been in the year for 14 seasons. He can still be good. Guac, on the other hand, is the opposite of that. Guacamole is the running back of condiments. Because there are arguments all the time about how necessary it is. There are arguments all the time about how good it actually is, because there's plenty of very polarizing opinions out there.
That's right.
About avocado. Which is, remember, I said we were going to talk about avocado again.
You did say that.
This was it. Also, it is very, very, very different. Fresh versus old. Very different. Guac.
Oh, yeah.
Very different. Very different. It expires quickly, like running backs do. It expires fast. Yeah. If you get it fresh, you better eat that whole thing right there. You better burn out the entire rookie contract on that running back, because I don't want to re-sign him to a big deal. Don't re-sign running backs to big deals. So in that way, salsa is a guard and guac is a running back. Nate, what you got?
How am I supposed to beat that guac saying?
I don't, maybe you can't. And if you can't, that's okay too.
I can't.
Okay, you can't. We'll move on. It's completely fine.
Because but I'd like to find something like I want to connect salsa and punters.
You want to connect salsa and punters? You just feel like that would be good.
I don't quite know.
I got nothing, dude. I'm trying to connect them and I got nothing. My brain is not working. It's been a long week.
Yeah, I got nothing. I honestly, like, especially the guac one, dude. That was the expiration and running backs. I mean, that's as good as it gets, bud. I
just got an email from Jeremy and it says, moving forward, we need to address him as Special Agent Gugino of the FBI. Oh, nice try, FBI. We are going to close this evening's show by having a good time. But before we close, another reminder that this show is brought to you by Genesee Brewery. We have not had somebody on the Genesee Brewery hotline, but if we did, that hotline would be brought to you by, you guessed it, the Genesee Brewing Company.
Indeed.
Look for Pineapple Kolsch in stores and at bars and restaurants today. Genesee beer brewed for generations. I feel like I'm a loser, Nate, because I still haven't had Pineapple Kolsch.
So,
if I Venmo you some money, will you ship me some?
Yes, and the reason I'm going to do that is because we also have a listener, Dan, who reached out to me on Twitter and says he's an avid listener, loves the show, and the only thing that has bothered him about our show is not ours, because I don't besmirch mustard, but you besmirch mustard.
I do.
It is not a condiment of your choice. You're not a big mustard fan.
Not straight yellow mustard.
Okay. So Dan and his family, and funny enough, they're Nunde mustard here, just south of Buffalo, where my girlfriend is from, which is like near Geneseo, but she lives in Mount Morris, and Nunde is the town that borders Mount Morris. He is in town for the preseason game tomorrow, and has so delightfully dropped off 3 giant boxes of, I believe, all 10 of the styles of mustard that he makes. And I just want to run through these quickly with you.
Wow.
I'm going to send you some of these as well. But let's see. Jalapeno, habanero, garlic, Cajun onion. Hang tight. Honey bee. Okay, so honey mustard.
Give me some honey mustard. I want some of that.
Horseradish with caraway, cracked peppercorn, smoky maple. Let me get through the last one. Tangy. Okay, that looks like it. That's all of them. And then he also has some ketchups as well. 2 types of ketchups and a Cajun rub. So I will throw some in this box of beer for you, and I will send it off to you.
Dude, absolutely. Let me know what I need to Venmo you, and I'll Venmo you. So, winners and losers.
Yes.
Winners and losers. My winner for this week, Isaiah Pacheco.
Ooh, yes.
So, every year, there is one player who the preseason hype actually becomes real for. James Robinson, Eli Mitchell. Is Isaiah Pacheco that player? If ever it was going to happen, it's going to happen with the Chiefs backfield.
Yes, that's right.
Now, I'm still #CEHSCN. Like that's the way I am, because I truly believe that Clyde Edwards-Helaire having a very, very serious illness and having his weight drop all the way down to 160 pounds last offseason is a very reasonable it's a very reasonable factor in why he may have struggled last year. I don't want to make excuses, but that's pretty significant. My brother had a very, very, very significant illness where he was hospitalized for weeks, and it was a year before he was right again.
Wow.
And he's not a professional athlete.
Right.
So, I mean, it was real, real bad. And so I think that Isaiah Pacheco is the big winner, but not necessarily because I think he's going to be RB1 for the Chiefs, because that's not what I'm saying. But he's already the starting kick returner, which means he's going to make the team. And if you make the team, then you've got a shot, You
have a shot.
So he's going to make the team, and he's getting a ton of hype around him. And what if he's Darrell Williams? What if that's who he is? That's still great. 7th round pick rookie for the Kansas City freaking Chiefs, who are going to be a good team this year. That's still a gigantic W. So I'm not saying he's a W because he's going to be the dude. That's not what I'm saying. I don't know that for sure. I would highly doubt it, because most of the time this stuff ends up being Darwin Thompson. It doesn't end up being Elijah Mitchell, right? But it's still a gigantic W. It's still the biggest winner of the week. Nate, who's your biggest winner this week?
San Francisco 49ers.
Because they can trade Jimmy now?
Not only can they trade Jimmy now, but now there will be a competition for Jimmy Garoppolo. We know that no league suspension has come down for Deshaun Watson yet. There's being floated that he might try to settle for 8 games and $5 million. I think the league's going to hold out and go for the whole season, in which case the Browns aren't going to be able to wait now. They're not going to be able to do the wait and see approach, which is, well, let's wait till this decision comes down. And if it does happen to, be a full season, then we'll trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, now a second team now, the New York Jets has entered the situation, has entered the chat, right? Now they're going to be interested in acquiring Jimmy Garoppolo, which, by the way, might make them a more competitive football team. That's a nice little team with a rookie quarterback that you didn't know what you have, or a second-year quarterback. Jimmy G's probably better than Zach Wilson at this point in his career. It has that familiarity with Salah.
If you're a big fan of Corey Davis, or you're a big fan of CJ Uzomah or Tyler Conklin or Elijah Moore or Garrett Wilson, I'm an Elijah Moore stan. We've talked about this before. I also have him in Dynasty, but I'm a huge Elijah Moore guy. I was huge on him before he came out. If they got Jimmy Garoppolo, that might be a stock up for Elijah
I think
Moore.
Every single one of their stocks are up.
Who was a markedly better player when Zach Wilson wasn't on the field last year.
Do you know who I think maybe we're talking about all these guys stock up? You know who might have the most stock up out of that whole situation?
Who?
It's going to sound crazy.
Breece Hall?
Michael Carter. Pass catching back.
Really?
Pass catching back. I would almost...
That's not bad.
A lot like Carson Wentz, Zach Wilson did not check the ball down to his running backs. You know who will?
Jimmy Garoppolo will.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
That's not bad. I don't hate that at all.
Because,
all right, biggest loser.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm good. We'll move on from that. I could talk about Michael Carter all day. Biggest loser, I'll let you go first.
Okay. Biggest loser, I mean, it's Zach Wilson. We're getting reports now that looks like he did tear his ACL. It's not confirmed, but Leisure Doozable on Twitter was like, hey, I think he tore his ACL. And Zach Wilson was objectively one of the worst quarterbacks in football last year, but he was a rookie. So every time someone says, yeah, but he was a rookie, it gives them a little bit of hope for the future. If he tore his ACL this year, you are hoping for a third-year jump at that point from someone who didn't take a second-year move. Yeah. You're hoping for a third-year jump where the last time you saw this person play, they were a rookie and they were terrible. Josh Allen taking the third-year jump he did is extremely improbable. Zach Wilson doing it next year, if he tore his ACL and he's out this year, has never been done before by anyone. It's not improbable. Yeah. It's never happened ever. And so if that's the case, it's meaningful. It is 100% meaningful. So for me, biggest L, Zach Wilson, because it's not just about this year. It's about the trajectory of his entire career. It's about, and I don't mean to be hyperbolic, it's about the trajectory of his entire life. That's how significant it is. And I feel bad. I feel horrible for kids like that who have situations like that pop up, because the entire trajectory of his entire career, the thing he grew up wanting to do, the thing he thought he was so excited to do when he got a chance to walk across that stage in the NFL draft, it's hanging by a thread right now.
Yep. And
all because he cut with his leg and his knee gave out. And that's just biggest loser, man. What you got?
That's tough. Biggest loser for me, Damon Harris. New England in general, but Damon Harris. So there's a lot of talk that the New England Patriots might be interested in moving Damon Harris. They drafted 2 running backs after drafting 1 last year in Ramondre Stevenson, who they like a lot. They want to see him get more time. James White just retired, but they've got Pierre Strong. I can't remember the guy that they got in the 5th round last year or this past draft, but
Kevin Harris.
What's it?
Kevin Harris.
I think there's a good chance he ends up getting moved. And if he doesn't get moved, he's going to be part of and isn't it funny how in vogue, like how in and out quickly these running backs in New England can be, how in favor and then out of favor they can be. Do you remember when Damon Harris was drafted, all the talk was, oh my God, this Alabama running back that nobody really thought about during the draft. He's going to be the next big one. He finally, year 2, kind of has given that backfield, given the bell cow role. Year 3, they draft Stevenson. And then now year 4, it looks like in a contract year, just like Devin Singletary, could he be on the outs? And frankly, I think he should want that because he's going to be running behind one of the worst offensive lines in football.
Strong. Ladies and gentlemen, we did it.
We've done it.
We did the thing. The thing has been done. It's exactly 10 o'clock on Friday night, Eastern time. Nathaniel, I might run up, get in the car, and go to McDonald's and ask for unsalted fries. You never know. I might do it. I guarantee Mrs. Nolan will be down.
I think I might too.
If I do, I'll take a picture. I'm not sure if I'm going to, but I can almost guarantee you that's something that she would be down for if I said I was interested. We are on a diet, so probably not. But maybe if I go to the gym and work out again tomorrow morning, maybe I can get away with it. We'll see. Or maybe I'll just have a cookie. I'm not entirely sure. Well,
either one, I don't think you'll lose.
I never lose. When you're married to Mrs. Nolan,
there
is no L. There is no L for me, ever. Just gigantic. I wake up every day with a W, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this show. I hope it didn't leave you in a spot where your stomach is rumbling and you got to run to McDonald's and ask for unsalted fries and salt them yourself.
But we are going to do that.
And most importantly, I hope you didn't leave hungry.